So many movies and stories and politics, religion, and science are preparing us for apocalypse now. Though there is a movie from Vietnam, right, called Apocalypse Now that has Marlon Brando and what's his name? Martin Sheen, who is Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen's dad that played in it, plus other actors and actresses. And so, back in the 1960s and 70s, they were warning us, they were preparing us for all this. That's why all the different Hollywood stars have their songs about what's going on, what's going on internally, what's going on externally. Just so many things that are giving us a clue what is going on today. But they knew this way back when. Even Charles Manson knew what was going on way back when, okay? And so now you got to realize that you've already been seeded. Everything inside your body has been seeded to prepare for then the frequencies to be raised. That's why you must start opening up your alimentary canal and eating a lot more food so you have the substance to release the fucking demons. Literally release the fucking demons. And so Apocalypse Now means that since you have already the secondary programming, even though you're type A or type B or type O, people's systems are closed up because they don't want to feel pain. They don't want to open up their alimentary canal. They don't want to obviously pull out the programming, like sticking your finger in your butt, which I did when I was a kid and pulled out all these little tiny pinworms. And I was like, what the hell is this? Okay. And so I already was familiar with my ass when I was a kid because I was feeling the tickling inside my asshole. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I saw a few pinworms. So I kind of knew what was going on even when I was in my youth. But the antigen antibody programming that's been in all the therapies, been in all the different viruses, right? Viruses are just people with the antigen antibody programming. Okay, and so they do exist, and people hold those viruses within them. Even if you're a type O, you still have that secondary programming stuck in your colon. And so even if you're type A and B, you don't realize that, yes, your prototype was type O, but now you have a lot more of the programming in you that you have to then eat so much food so you can release it and mucus up. Because right now, it's like the groundwork is even being laid even more so because of the heat. We see what the geoengineering and the atmospheric engineering is, what's going on with that. And so that's even ramping up. I mean, it's now they're not hiding anymore. Not that they were anyways, but people are now more aware of the skies. They look like a huge plasma TV screen. That when you see the clouds that look like they're moving so quickly, the frequencies have accelerated. So the clouds are even more active at the upper atmosphere, and then when at some point, even at the lower atmosphere, they're even more active because the ceiling has now dropped. Before, the sky ceilings were like way up there, so you're like, wow, look how beautiful those wispy looking clouds, or those kind of like weird patterns that we saw back in the 80s that were like, okay, no big deal, whatever. But they were doing that way in the upper atmosphere, so the ceiling of the sky was way up there. But as time progressed on from the 80s and 90s and 2000s, the ceiling has actually dropped lower and lower and lower until now it's almost where you can feel like you can touch the sky. And it looks like the fog rolling in. That's what the movie's about, the fog, and the fog bringing in all the crazy monsters. So if you watch like The Mist, there is The Mist, the fog, horror movies that are depicting Hollywood characterizing or warning you that, yes, when the fog rolls in, when the ceiling drops and the plasma is so thick, then you see on my Facebook some of the Project Bluebeam where you're seeing like could be holograms or actual ships. You'll never fucking know the difference. And so when Nicole Sands was asking me, she's on my Facebook, she's like, how do we know if it's really Project Bluebeam or the actual apocalypse or the actual invasion? Oh, honey, when you think about synthetic and organic, they're the same fucking thing. Okay? Because it's on TV and it's through Hollywood, right? You think that's like a make-believe. Okay, yeah. And then when you look at your society, what is society emulating? It's emulating what's going on in Hollywood. And so while Hollywood deals with huge sound stages and costume and wardrobe changes and biomanipulation, what's going on in your society? People are taking after Hollywood. Even their own community can be used as a freaking stage. It's like it's like even reality, that's the actual smoke and mirrors, that reality and fantasy are really one of the same. If you can develop it in a lab, if you can go and project an image that looks like something that you think is fantasy or whatever, then it's real. Not saying it's like, because someone manufactured it, someone had to make it, whether it's made 10,000 fucking years ago and they're coming back from some far off time like Lemuria and want to come and say, hey, here we are, or whether it's made just yesterday. What's the difference if it's made 10,000 years ago or it's made yesterday? There is no difference. So I'm watching the Ancient Aliens, on Nat Geo or the History Channel, and they're like, oh yeah, Lemuria and the sunken islands and the sunken this and the sunken that, and we're going to be, invaded by this and that. And so it's like, I'm like looking at this and watching with my husband going like, oh my God, they are laying the groundwork for the Starseed agenda, which is the same thing as the alien agenda. Okay. And so then when you are producing smoke, like you see on like those talent shows where they have the smoke machines, and it gives it kind of like a very mystical, magical look. Okay, so those are smoke machines that are done on a sound stage, on a stage where people are doing, actors and actresses are doing all their stuff. So imagine a smoke machine that's made for your society, and it's blotting out certain things, so that way somebody can project an image and develop a reality. And now you can call it synthetic, you can call it everything is organic, because everything is made from the elements that was put together with intention. And so I'm like, don't even think about, what the real alien agenda or the real Project Bluebeam or the real, Nephilim coming back, or what is it? The second coming of Christ. Okay, so you have the second coming of Christ, people who believe in that. You have those who believe in the Nephilim, those who believe in Lemuria or star seeds, and it's going to be reptilians or Arturians or whatever. Another people are going to say, oh, it's Project Bluebeam. They're going to go and do this and do that. And so you see one event, which could be like whatever alien, Jesus, devil, Antichrist. Okay, one event is going to be then looked at by 5 different types of belief systems that have their own subset of belief systems. Be like, whoa, we're seeing the second coming of Christ. Oh my God, it's the alien invasion. Oh my God, it's Lemuria or Arturians coming to save us, and it's all the what is it, the Nephilim or the Pleiadians coming and saving humanity from the reptilians. Okay. And so you can take one event and have 5 different ways of explaining it. And that is the Tower of Babel you would find in the Bible. Okay, and so I'm just saying that, so then what happens with that? So now you have that on one side where you have the whole alien agenda and the whole alien invasion or second coming of Christ. And then people are dropping like flies, because when you're projecting an image such as that, and then there's lasers with lightning bolts also attached to that, like you've seen in Independence Day, right, from Will Smith. And so it's like a coordinated event of all these different alien ships, then, exploding buildings all simultaneously. Can you imagine then people who already have the seeds within them, okay, the antigen antibody programming already within them exploding, metastasizing, and they have a closed system because they haven't opened it up. They haven't figured out that you really seriously have to open up your alimentary canal, because when these frequencies get turned up and you have things that you've picked up for the last 10, 15 years, plus within the last 2 years with all this COVID stuff, can you imagine? Some people will supernova. They will have so much information, so much energy happening all at once that their bodies can't handle it. First, they don't have enough substance, or they have too much substance, and their system is still closed up. Okay, and so that's worst case scenario. I always think of worst case scenario, and then also think, okay, is it going to be as bad as we think? Oh, it's probably worse. It's probably worse. Why would they go to so much effort to, seriously, when you look at the skies last night, the last couple days, why would they go through so much effort to do this over many, many years, where you're brainwashing generations of people into thinking a religion, a politics, a scientific belief system, It takes fucking generations because it has to be embedded into the psyche of your grandpa, your grandma, your mom, and your dad, your religion, your employers, your friends and family. They all have to reinforce that shit. They're like, oh yeah, get all your therapies and close up your system and take your Mucinex and prepare for the rapture and do this and do that. And so yeah, you have like 50 zillion religions out there all believing that at some point the Messiah is going to come, at some point the second coming of Christ is going to come, at some point the aliens are going to come, at some point the Pleiadians are going to come. But it's all the same allegory that there's going to be an evil person and there's going to be a savior. That's the good and evil. That's the antigen antibody programming. The black and white Freemason checkerboard is basically laying out 50 million storylines with the same premise, good and evil. And then relative to your belief system, you're going to say, okay, this is good and this is evil and this is evil and this is good. And it's all different for everybody, right? Relative to your belief system. And so then everyone gets their day in the sun. Literally, everybody gets their day in the sun. And some will not survive the light. Am I going to survive it? I can't fucking tell you. I have no idea. I have no idea what the system has planned. But when I look at Independence Day with Will Smith and the whole coordinated alien efforts of all those spaceships over major metropolitan centers and different continents and different, I'm thinking like, anything can fucking happen. Anything can happen. What you see in Hollywood can totally be replicated out there in your community. You cannot assume because it's on TV in Hollywood that it cannot happen in some way, shape, or form where fantasy turns into reality into your present world. You can't fucking stick your head in the sand. Some people are like, oh yeah, like I'm watching some of these movies where like people are like playing soccer and they're going to their mommy and me groups and they're doing their stuff and you see these pretty girls and pretty boys or people just doing their regular stuff, right? Everything is great, and all of a sudden, bam, people are dodging shit left and right. They don't know what the hell's going on. They're pretty ballerinas and they're pretty, soccer players and runners and people going to their job, whatever. All of that's been like completely just the apocalypse. What happened to remember 2001 when the buildings came down? Everyone was just going to their job, doing their thing. Everything was wonderful. Nobody was really expecting anything. And then all of a sudden, bam, 2 planes hit the fucking towers or whatever. We all speculated it could be holograms and it was like y'all planned and everything was a controlled demolition, whatever. There's that side of it. You'll never fucking know. But that's what I'm saying. You'll think everything is wonderful. Everything's beautiful. All your pretty people and weird people and people having suffering are going to go about their daily lives. And then one day, the frequencies get turned up and shit just fucking goes insane. And this is where people who stick their head in the sand, who think everything's going to be the same it was a couple of years ago, it's not fucking the same anymore. I can't get it through your head. And I'm realizing this because, and I'm going into, yesterday, I went to my husband's work and hung out with a bunch of people. I already knew, my body already was able to assimilate to that really aggressive population because, I'm hanging out with a bunch of truckers. And they're all different blood types. And they all have their different programming. And my body was able to handle it without mucusing up so much. And I opened up my system this morning, released the fucking demons when you think about it. It was a little bit painful too because it was a cramping that you had to push all that stuff out. And traditional pooping is not going to be enough, not in this day and age. And so then I don't have any congestion. I'm not feeling tired from yesterday. And I was out all day in different microbiomes, in aggressive ones, in closed-in spaces. And I didn't have any kind of sickness or reaction. Okay? And that was like, fuck yeah. But I'm telling you, that was a fucking journey to even get to that point. Because even before that, I would go hang out with people or frequencies get turned up. My husband would come home and I would, and you saw that I was losing my voice or I was talking really deeply because of the mucus that was coming up. I would take naps and sleep and all that stuff. And I'd feel also that my heart beat faster, which could be so many different reasons. But with the way the sky was and my heart beating faster and all that, and I mean, I could blame the probiotics, but that's just life, right? Life will be affected by higher frequencies. So if you have a lot more life in your body and there's frequencies that are being turned up, all of that's going to be affected. And so, you'll feel your heartbeat. You'll feel a lot of energy, like you're going to jump out of your skin. Okay, and so then I looked at the skies yesterday, and they were pretty insane. They were insane this morning when I was up at 6, 7 in the morning. I went to go get my coffee and do some shopping and get stuff done and get, my slow cooker done and figure out ordering diapers for my dog because her frequencies, well, her reacting to the frequencies is making her even more incontinent. So every single day I've been doing laundry. And so then I'm realizing, yes, things are ramping up. At what point are they going to have the apocalypse? You'll never fucking know, but you have to expect it. You have to expect some crazy event. Would it be in Christmas? Would it be like next July? Because this last July was the CERN, right? And then the atmosphere changed drastically. Even my neighbor said she couldn't go outside because it was so suffocating after July 4th. And then I noticed the clouds in the sky look so different. They look like the Sistine Chapel. Michelangelo or whoever, Da Vinci, who did the Sistine stuff, whatever that the paintings and all that. I mean, it was so iridescent blue with then an orangey, whitish, fluffy clouds that looked like you can have like two, the fingers touching each other, and it looked exactly like a painting that you would see from way back in the 15th, 16th century, 13th century, during the Renaissance period, during the Age of Enlightenment, the Golden Age, all of that. When people were intellectually becoming smarter because probably the frequencies were turned up. A lot of people passed away because of the bubonic plague and the different plagues, but then a lot of people got smarter. And that's where a lot of the innovation came out of, because the frequencies were turned up. And so those that didn't understand that they had to change their lifestyle and the belief systems to then merge in with the new world, they were suffering. They were drowning in their own mucus. They were drowned by their own water. Okay, some people who are really obese and they don't get their water pills in time, they drown in their own liquid, because when you have high frequencies and the body's has an antidiuretic hormone that causes water retention, you can drown in your own fucking bodily fluids, or so much mucus gets developed so fast or faster than you can release it, or get some kind of operation to stop the mucus, or whatever, not operation, but let's say a ventilator or some other way to release. But some people get cancer or get some other type of tumor that's so fast growth that you don't have time to go and do anything because the growth is that accelerated. That's what's going to happen if it isn't already happening already. Okay? And so you can't, now you seriously, I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, but I see it now. I see now ultimately where you want to be. You want to have an open system. You want to be able to walk into a crowd and not mucus up so much. And some of you haven't even begun to open up your system, so you can walk into a crowd and you can take in stuff, but you're not feeling anything because you have closed up your system. You have not actually felt what it's like to wake up the beast within that was planted in you fucking years ago. It's already in your genetic line. Okay? And some of you don't even know your blood type, so your blood type should tell you how aggressive the beast already is. If you're blood type O, the beast is still aggressive, but you have a chance to release it. If you're blood type A and B, the beast has taken your ass over, and you have to wake that shit up, and you have to release it. Okay? And some of you are don't even know where you stand because you will refuse to actually look at your blood type. Some people know their blood type, and that's amazing because they were told through military or through other means because of medical stuff, and other people took my advice and actually tested their blood to see what they're in for. Some told me they're type A and type B. Others told me they're type O negative. And with O negative, yeah, there's gastric issues. Type A and B, you're going to have a lot of issues to release because that holds a lot of diseases of which are coming to surface, which is why you're seeing a revisitation of all the old diseases that had all the different vectors for it, because the frequencies are so aggressive. They're bringing up all the old diseases because they used to lay dormant in people's bodies, and now it's at the surface being passed around from person to person when you're hanging out with your friends and family and in groups and crowds in a high frequency environment, giving off your spores to everybody and their mother, and it's then incubating. And then when the frequencies get turned up again, then it metastasizes and metastasizes and metastasizes, and then people can't get ahead of it. That's what you are facing if you don't face fucking reality. And so now that I see it, I'm like, holy shit. And that's why I am the way I am, because I know what people are in for. They're not prepared for the fucking apocalypse. Literally, they're not prepared for it. They are not prepared for it. They're not prepared for it. Because you see them out there hanging out, trying to look cute, trying to look all pretty, and trying to look like, everything's great. Okay, it is until it's not. But at this point, can you afford to pretend everything is great? Oh, but, at this point, your friends and family have jailed your ass. Your friends, your family, your job, your social networks, your, whatever it is, your kids, they have jailed your fucking ass. Because you won't take the time to open up and release the demons, because it's a lot. You see what I'm doing with my dog, having to deal with her demons being released. I'm trying to maintain everything else, plus all the laundry, having to strategize, making sure that I don't do laundry every fucking day, and make sure she stays alive, make sure I stay alive. I will open up my system. I still can go out there and do, I'm telling you, I've been at home for 2 years. Yesterday was the first time I've been out for at least 5 or 6 hours consecutively in a row. And I didn't get sick from it. The fact that I got sick the last couple of years going out was because I had predisposed issues. I had the beast in me. Every single time I would be around somebody who gave me something and woke up the beast again in me, and I had to get sick and had to release and had to get sick and had to get released. That was me systematically releasing the demon, systematically mucusing up, systematically feeling the hives, feeling the yeast infections, feeling the UTIs, had a revisitation of issues that I've had in the past. Having the headaches, having the coughs and the mucus and feeling tired and feeling hungry and feeling all types of ways. Okay? The last 2 fucking years. Luckily, I preempted everything way back in the beginning in 2016 and 2017, but then I put it to sleep with the J juice. That's why I didn't experience half the shit I experienced the last couple of years with COVID prior to J juice, because J juice put shit back to sleep again. It put me in a cured state, which, okay, it was great. It was great relief, right? That's what people liked me, because they got relief. But then those that hated me were then at the other end of it, where they had to wake up the beast because they couldn't afford to be cured anymore. And so they hated me on that end. Okay, well, not my fault. You had that shit planted in you for years and years and years, and your predisposed issues. So then when COVID came around, everybody has it. The frequencies is what wakes it up. The higher frequencies, the climate change, of which they told you climate change is going to happen. Climate change is going to happen. And then you see the storms. They're more aggressive from climate change. Regardless of the catalyst, regardless if it's synthetic or organic from the universe, regardless if you think it's all the humans that are doing their stuff, which, okay, people who are preempting all this stuff, playing with all the machinery and the weather stuff, it's humans. So you're right, humans are developing climate change. But what does that mean, humans? Is it because somebody is turning up their AC? Is that human causing the climate change times 7.9 billion? Or is it humans that are in high levels of government playing with machinery? It doesn't fucking matter which human is causing the climate change. Climate change is fucking here, and it's going to affect your immune system. It's going to bring up demons and people that they didn't even know existed until they actually face their demons. Some people can't. They just super implode. They just cannot fucking deal with it. And you're seeing that happen in the population. Oh, it's fucking crazy. It's so crazy out there. Oh my God. And so I say, you know what? People are going to do stupid shit. Accidents are going to happen. Things are going to happen that wouldn't happen in a lower frequency environment, but you can't get mad at it. You have to realize that the more that you're out there playing the same games, the higher, statistically, a higher percentage of you being a victim of something that is just going off because of the glitching, because of the frequencies. And so, at this point, I just do what I got to do. When I go to the grocery store, I go early in the morning and I go really fast through all the aisles. I'm thinking what I got to do, what I got to, whatever. And I'm so aware of my environment. I'm so aware of the exit points. I'm so aware of all the fucking things that could potentially happen in this atmosphere with people who don't even know they have the demon within them that is metastasizing as we speak. Some have programming that is so aggressive and violent. Others have depressed programming. Others have sexual programming. And you're going to see that come to surface in so many people where they don't even give a shit, because everything is like, hey, let everything hang out. And you're seeing all over Facebook. People are letting shit hang out all over the place. They have absolutely, at this point, there's no hiding anything because that's their outlet. Facebook and social media is people's outlet, and it was meant for that. So when you're at home, in your safe home, you can see the demons rising in people. Just read their Facebook. Just look at what the programming has caused them to act and be like. They could be building families left and right. They could be out there partying, doing all their stuff. I mean, Facebook and social media is a safe place to see how demons metastasize in people. And you can see the obliviousness too. You can see like, oh, they really don't fucking know what's going on. And that's fine. But it's a safe place to watch how the world's gonna, react to all the frequencies. Some don't even fucking feel it because they're so cured. But let me tell you, I felt the frequency change last night. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I feel it ringing in my ears at 3 in the morning. I'm like, oh, my dog's freaking going around circles, doing whatever. Okay? So that's how in tune I am with my environment. I can actually feel the fucking frequencies, and then I see the reaction to it. I see my dog reacting, I see myself reacting, and I hear the sirens in my neighborhood. And I know they're all related in some way, shape, or form. That's how in tune you have to be to your environment. Some of you don't even fucking have a clue. And that's okay. You're not supposed to, because you were meant to just be here for a certain amount of time and then supernova. And so it is, I would say, I don't know, the elite, the elite, the people like, who are the elite? The Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, those that are all over CNN and Fox and InfoWars or even other places. When they're watching people's Facebook and they're watching beautiful people just supernova, fall apart, be destroyed, it's like watching the models that are throwing blood on themselves and enacting scenes of horror and scenes of gore. It's like watching that. It's like watching beautiful people supernova and pass away. It's like watching human sacrifice. When you're watching the horror movies and beautiful people are being sacrificed on the horror movies, can you imagine? When you have the frequencies get turned up and beautiful people are dying of heart attacks and strokes, beautiful, gorgeous people who think that plastic surgery and Botox and all the makeup and all the cute clothes are going to be like, oh yeah, here, look at me, look at who I am, and then they're not alive. They have contracted cancer disease, chronic illness, or they have vital organ failure, and they're beautiful. That's the craziness about it. That's the evilness behind it. But that's also the modeling industry too. I mean, that's some people who are photographers that glorify the gore and the human sacrifice of beautiful people. Gorgeous men, gorgeous women, and even children. And so that's the insane part of what's going on is the fashion industry, Hollywood, the different movies and the horror movies. They are glorifying the destruction of people who don't fucking get it. The destruction of people who were developed and programmed to look beautiful, to look gorgeous, to be so, intellectually successful, and then their resources are being extracted and then all out, bam. So that's why I don't worship beauty. I don't worship trying to look like, the quintessential Hollywood star or the fashion model or anything of those influencers out there. I don't fall into any of those archetype programming. Some could say that, oh yeah, Jillian, you take on like the hero or the savior or maybe the intellectual. I'm not trying to save anybody. I already know that it's supposed to happen, that many people are not supposed to survive this new world, this next transition. Many are not supposed to survive it. So I'm just appealing to those that I already know. I think Audrey can get it. I think John gets it. There's a few of you that are actually feeling the frequencies and are not trying to be cured, that have changed your lifestyle, maybe even changed your belief system. I think some of you actually get it. Others of you, I wish you would, but I see you're going to be one of those. And you're like, well, how can you say that it's going to, that many people are not going to survive this? I mean, they can't even, I can even barely fathom that reality. Many people are not going to survive. But I'm looking at the Georgia Guidestones. 500 million is supposed to be the end result. How do you get from 12.9 million, just pretend that this is going to be a progressive thing and it's going to rise before it really falls again. How can you get from 12.9 billion all the way down to 500 million? Well, here's the thing. Africa is going to be the one that's going to contribute to the most of the population boom because they're getting online. And then the West is what's going to see the decline. The West is going to have a huge decline because we already had our population boom. We already had our innovation. We already had So many opportunities. We've had so many opportunities to make a shit ton of money, to look beautiful, to look successful, to be everything, right? And now we're seeing the fall of Western society. And so while the third world is going to come up, Western society is going to go through its own apocalypse. And so, yeah, the population might increase because of the third world, because of China, India, Africa, other continents. But the West is going to see the most apocalyptic shit. And we already seen a taste of it within the last couple of days because of hurricanes. And so if you already see that the elderly and the indigent and those that can't handle hot, cold climates, and they flock to either California or they flock to Florida, those are easy pickings. Okay? When you have to live in somewhere where the seasons aren't changing because you can't handle the weather change, you're showing your cards that you can't handle climate change. So you sure as hell can't handle a fucking hurricane or even a change in the frequency. So the West is going to fall, yes. And there's going to be some of us that will survive this, are going to be dodging fucking lasers, dodging fucking lightning bolts, dodging whatever. I think I'm in the best place right now, as far as I know from what I'm seeing. Okay, but even then, I can't rule out tornadoes in my town. I can't rule out anything. They could take another. Right now, they're saying there's another hurricane. Hurricane developing over there west of Mexico, in the Pacific. So is it going to be the East Coast first, and the West Coast, and the East Coast, and the West Coast, as far as the chipping away? Abso-fucking-lutely. You can't rule anything out. So if you're near a body of water, get the fuck away from the ocean. Go inland, and then you're going to have to deal with the aggressive climates, with the aggressive climate change, which is hot summers and cold-ass winters. And I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared for it all. I'm prepared to release the demons. When I'm around people, I'm prepared to acclimate. I'm fucking prepared for it now. I know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen. We all been told this for many fucking years. The conspiracy community conditioned all of us to see it, though people are like, oh, that's just a conspiracy theorist. They're stupid. They're paranoid. They have something wrong with them. Oh, honey, no, our gut knew we couldn't prove it. There's no way to fucking prove it. Oh, prove it, Jillian. Prove it. You can live for indefinitely. Prove it. Okay, if that's how you want to base considering new information, that you want proof, first, and instead of understanding the logic and the intellect behind it, and actually doing it, if that's how you base your changes of looking for proof, bye, see you later. You don't have the fucking aptitude to deal with anything. You can't deal with new information. Because proof is all relative to how you want to characterize energy and what your lifestyle and your belief systems, your politics, religion, and science. And so if you are heavily Christian into the rapture, into all of that, the proof is in your Bible that you're prepared to be destroyed. You're prepared for that. Okay, there's your proof. But you're okay with it. I'm saying, I don't want to die from the rapture. I think I'm going to try to find the best place to live. Not that I knew this back in 2010 when I came out here to meet my husband, but I guess my gut knew something was going to happen. I don't know. I had absolutely no fucking clue. I wasn't even in the conspiracy community back in 2009, 2010. I just started the conspiracy community when my husband and I got together, but we weren't even married by that time. I was watching Alex Jones's The Endgame back in 2011 in September, and we were in Marysville, and I was listening to the Obama deception because I couldn't figure out how the hell did President Obama allow the mortgage crisis to happen under his watch. Aren't you supposed, when you're a president, aren't you supposed to stop things like that from happening? I couldn't figure out that. That's what struck me as funny and was weird, and that's how I fell into the conspiracy community, because it didn't make sense. If you're in charge of a country, like the president, like my mother, like myself in my own household, I wouldn't allow shit happen the way shit happened, letting people suffer. I would stop it from happening. But Obama didn't. So then I knew the outcome is the fucking intention. And that's when I fell down all the rabbit holes ever since 2010. When I was then waking up to how the world really works. Nothing is organic. Everything is intentional. If you don't get that, then okay, then go live your fucking organic lifestyle and try to look cute for everybody and play the old game in a new world. The economy's shifting. Everything's fucking shifting. If you don't shift with it, you'll just, I don't know. All right, I'm going to go, but I wanted to say, yeah, Apocalypse Now. That was predictive programming. That's letting you know, yes, even through allegory, they were letting you know, even back in the 1960s, 70s, 50s, 40s, 30s, shit, way back in 1776. Even before that, they knew what they had to do. Who's they? The Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians. The Hermetics, the Jewish mystics, and the Christian Gnostics. And they developed all of your programming, all of your starseed programming in every single fucking religion under the sun. I don't care what kind of religion it is. If you're worshiping someone or you're demonizing someone, a person, place, or thing, you have been bamboozled. Can you tell someone this who's eye deep in their fucking religion? Absolutely not. So they'll have fun with the rapture. Have a good day. Happy Sunday. Bye.